Hi.
Thank you for coming in today.
Sure.
So what we're just going to do is just ask a few questions just so that we can gain an insight into what an LCP does.
Sure.
Before we start, can you just give us a little bit of background information about yourself?
Definitely. So my name is James AIESEC, and I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Business Finance in QUT. And yeah.
And how long have you been at AIESEC?
Well, specifically, I think it's about 25 months now. So about 2 years and a month since I joined AIESEC back in August 2011.
And how long have you been president for?
President, it'll be 9 months now, with a couple of months beforehand of kind of preparation. So it's 9 months into my term.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Let's get into it.
Sure.
First of all, what is the average week like of an LCP?
About 40 hours per week. Pretty busy. I can break it down into different segments. So we have coaching and mentoring for my executive board. We also have tracking system in place just to make sure that things are on track. The next thing that is rather important is with an LCP, you become the face of the organization, usually between university relations and externals. So usually the tasks are break into all these different segments, and this basically completes the week that I have in university.
And what are some tasks that you would do not on a weekly basis?
Not on a weekly basis. Usually there's a kind of like a strategic planning on a quarterly basis. Sometimes there's faculty breakfast in QUT. Sometimes there's also conferences throughout the year where AIESEC Australia runs, and these are usually leadership run or strategic planning where the national leadership team will come together and they will do some kind of readjustment of goals, setting the direction for the next year and things like that.
Okay. When you started your term as president, would you say you were fully prepared for your role?
Well, to be honest, I don't think I was fully prepared because some of the things were literally unaware of. It was struck without me actually knowing. I tried to plan most of the things and I was pretty confident when I started. It's just that when things struck immediately, I was caught off guard. And that made me kind of like think a lot into the future as well. And I think sometimes we plan a lot. But sometimes the things that we plan will or will not show up sometimes, and I think that is not foreseeable.
What were some of those things that you weren't expecting to happen?
I think a lot of times motivation, ups and downs are pretty unpredictable because I think as students here we face exams, anxiety, and different relationship matters. So we cannot really track. I can't understand some of my executive boards, like when are they happy, when are they not happy, and things like that. And sometimes when everything was well planned, but the numeric numbers just doesn't come in, sometimes they don't feel as motivated in some ways. So that could be challenging, and it is hard to put into plans what this and when it will happen.
So what would you say was your biggest highlight during your term as LCP?
Well, I think one of the highlights that I've got was during Queensland Conference, which was held in this year, July. During the last day, we had like a closing plenary where we talk about some of our feelings and stuff. I got an opportunity to talk to Evelyn, which was the MCP last year. She was there facilitating some of the session. And I think the thing that was very rewarding and very touching to hear from her is that the members is a reflection of the LCP, and she felt that the QUT members were with such passion when they come to conference and so much learnings that was happening during conferences made me aware of the things around me, made me aware of what members was there for, and made me aware of the things that I'm doing as an LCP and how, to the extent that I can impact people in QUT itself, was pretty much very rewarding for me in my term.
What would you say was your biggest challenge that you had to overcome?
I think the biggest challenge is, for me, is really balancing doing the right things and doing things right. Because what I feel that sometimes within this position, sometimes what they say is it's a lonely position. A lot of things that we foresee, members doesn't really understand from a different perspective. So a lot of times it was a bit hard to communicate our idea or my idea, firstly to my executive board, secondly to the members in the LC. And of course, different opinions is good because this creates diversity and thinking. But sometimes different ideology creates conflict, and it's not always in the best manner that we want to. And I think these are some of the challenges that I face on and off throughout the term. It's not just, I think, one of the biggest, but I think it's one of the most consistent challenge that I have throughout these 9 months.
And what sorts of things did you do to overcome these issues?
I ended up speaking to more members on a more regular basis. I think trying to understand them and trying to understand what is in place for them, like why some of the things are happening. Basically understanding their why as a person and what's the connection between AIESEC and themselves. I think that helps a lot.
So what's some advice that you would give to current applicants and those who are thinking about applying in the future?
Well, I think the advice is that if you do not know the people, you do not know the business. The interesting about AIESEC is that we are a youth-run organization, and the product that we focus are for students. So this is the relationship that we have, and we need to know the people before we understand our business truly. The secondly, because I feel first seek to understand, then be understood. And I think that is really a big important factor for the applicant. And I think following up from that question, I think thinking big is really crucial. Be visionary, think big, and don't be afraid of that goal that you set to achieve. And to follow up on the question, I think is to really think big. Think big in the sense that do not be restricted by the reality that we have. Think big and dream big and achieve what you set up to be. Because I think a lot of times we talk about reality setting in, this is what the historical data is, we can't do it. I think that restricts a lot of what we think we can possibly do, and I think that is something that my advice for the next year's candidate or even this year's LCP can think about and integrate into their plans.
Thank you, that's some good advice. What are some other characteristics that you think an LCP should have?
I think for me there's 3 characteristics. The first one is definitely be humble, because you're just not by yourself, but most of the time people can't understand you, and you need a support system there for you so that you can grow as a person, and secondly grow your LC. So being humble allows you to talk to different LCPs and different people around Australia or even the globe. So that is one good characteristic. Second one is tenacity. I think perseverance is one important thing, because continuing doing the things that you always do and then doing good is something that is not easily achievable, because you face many different downsides, and you need to continue motivating your executive boards or your members. So you can't be the person that is always feeling down. You need to fight for all these things. And the last one is definitely be visionary, because I think, like, touching back on my point, thinking big and having a vision is really important as an LCP, because you can't be restricted on a very weekly basis. You need to think far, and I think that really helps.
So one of the main aims of AIESEC is to develop leaders amongst you. So what do you think you have personally learnt from your term as LCP?
I think there's 3 things. Firstly is maturity, and then altruistic, and perspective. I think these 3 words, if you combine the first letter, it gives you this word called the map. And these 3 words actually help me create this map for myself currently and in the future. What that means is that being on this role, it gives me the opportunity to understand from different perspectives, not just from QUT. And the maturity that you can have in this role is tremendous, because the growth that you can have in this role is not just within as an LCP, but it takes away so many things that you can have in this role for the past 9 months. You think about different things every day. You think about things that you can improve as a person, as an organization, and you become more customer-centric. You become more people-oriented, because this is the way that organization works. And other than finding out yourself is to understand other people. And this creates a very value add for myself for the past 9 months. And these are the values that I really gotten.
Well, thank you for your time today. Before we end, I just want to ask if you have anything you would like to say to your members.
Well, I think that the most important thing is to find your purpose within this organization, because I think that is really critical. And if you could find that purpose, it would develop your passion in this organization, and in turn, it inspires you to do more, and it inspires you to inspire others to do more. And I think this is what AIESEC is, and this is what we do on a daily basis.